Hello and welcome to Beach Hour. Now, there is always this thing that diesel cars have better torque output than petrol cars, and there is also a saying that a turbocharged car is better tuned than a non-turbo naturally aspirated car. So, what is the best of both worlds? And that situation is that if you have a diesel car which is turbocharged and you put a tune on that. And that's what today I have with me, which is a Stage 2 Honda Jazz which has been tuned by Code 6. So let's have a quick look around this car, see what all mods the owner has done to the car, and then take it out for a quick spin to see how it performs. If you have a look at the car from this angle, it looks pretty much stock, but then you come around over here and you see these aftermarket 16-inch alloys which look pretty contrasty when you compare that the rest of the car is pretty much white, it's pretty much a single color car. So from the outside, as you can see, the owner hasn't done a lot. He's kept the car pretty much stock and pretty simple, apart from of course those alloys, and there's an aftermarket spoiler over here at the back as well, which to be honest looks really nice. This is more of a cosmetic kind of a setup, but it does look nice. What do you think? Let me know down in the comment section. You know, one of my favorite things about this car, the Jazz, that's by the way Stage 2 Laura over there getting worked on. We'll come to that later. Let's focus on this as of now. So one of my favorite things about this car, the Honda Jazz, is the way it looks. It is a good looking car. It looks bigger than a hatchback but smaller than a family carrier, and it's kind of a really nice design where it sort of looks sharp, it looks angular, and from the other angles this car looks pretty much stock when you look from the outside, but all the juice of this car is actually on the inside. Now these seats, they look custom made. They have this nice bolstering on the sides which I'm not pretty much sure that the stock Jazz has. This side bolstering actually feels pretty good. It's a little bit wide, so I don't know how much it's going to hold my body when I'm going into a tight corner, but at least aesthetically they look really nice. And on the inside you've got a little bit of customization going on with the steering wheel. Then you have a very nice touchscreen over here in the center. You have a floating mic, bobblehead mic is there, and that's pretty much it. I mean, from small bits here and there, what the owner has done is mostly kept everything quite stock looking from the outside and the inside. It has that distinct look when you look at this car in a traffic signal or driving on the road. You will definitely get that hint of slight customization from the outside, especially looking at the wheels and the spoilers, but most of the car looks and feels pretty stock. That said though, what the owner has not kept stock is things under the bonnet. So let's quickly go there and have a look. Now this 1.5 liter turbocharged diesel from Honda isn't the most refined. Hondas I prefer more for their refined, super refined petrol engines. Diesel engines, you can say they are kind of a work in progress, but what we see over here is a stock replacement BMC air filter which is underneath over here. Then this car also has a full exhaust system including the downpipe all the way from the front till the tip. Yeah, is car ka na, one thing I have noticed is that when you look at this engine bay from the outside, it doesn't look like it's got a very big engine or a very spacious place for a big engine, but when you actually open it up, it kind of has a lot of space in here to actually accommodate a 1.5. I guess that is clever packaging. And due to that full system exhaust, this car actually sounds a lot different. I was hearing this car earlier when they were bringing it into the workshop. It did sound a lot more raw. Let's hear it. I would definitely say that this Jazz still feels a lot better in terms of its interior build quality, fit and finish than some of the Honda cities that I've sat in. And ना ये aftermarket screen ना बहुत अच्छी तरीके से बैठाया गया है इस कार में, where it feels flush with the rest of the dashboard, कुछ उठ के नहीं आ रहा है बाहर. It feels very nicely integrated into everything. You have chrome, you have a calculator just in case you forgot how many horsepower your car is producing. And you know, another good part about this build is that there is not a lot of either exhaust noise or engine, that diesel engine clatter when you're sitting over here on the inside, and even when you rev it, it's not so much there. And I don't know, maybe because the exhaust is producing a much more bassier note, it's kind of hiding, or it's kind of putting its sound over the noise of the diesel clatter, where you actually don't hear it a lot. It's actually a nice car to be. It's actually a nice, wide, spacious car to be. I like it. So that was a quick overview of what all has been done with this car. I really like the setup as of now, but we cannot say that for sure till we actually find out what this car does on the road, because in the end of the day, bhai, no matter aap car kya hi bana lo aur kaisi bhi bana lo, what matters is how it drives on the road. So let's take this car out and hit the road. Okay, so let's take this out for a spin now. Now the classic diesel symptoms are of course still there, like the heavy clutch and a slight clatter, especially when you are at low RPMs. But otherwise, the car feels. Ooh. And we have a R8 in front of us that is just got some of its work done. It basically came in for suspension work, and I think that suspension work is done and it is going out for a test drive. What do you think? Would this car be able to keep up with the Audi R8 V10 with its Stage 2 tune? Let me know down in the comment section. So even with this car, the classic diesel symptoms are still there, like a slight clattery engine when you start off, but that noise, that clatter is kind of to a good extent masked by the full system exhaust, which actually makes the car sound a lot more raw in itself, so you don't mind the diesel clatter so much. In terms of its suspensions, this car is running a stock setup. It's running a completely stock setup from the factory, and I think that's kind of makes sense if you want a car which is predominantly going to be driven in the city and around bad roads on the highway. Then there's really very few reasons why you should go from a stock setup to a custom or a more stiffer setup, which actually doesn't make sense. Okay, now with the foot down, the clatter is slightly a bit more, but with that also is the torque, which has increased quite significantly in this car, where that makes overtaking so much more easier. The good thing what I noticed with this tune is that the power delivery is actually quite linear, where you don't really feel that lag and the turbo suddenly spooling and hitting. That is still not there. It's still a very, very linear experience where you do get more power, you do get a much better drive out of each and every gear, but at the same time you don't feel that uncomfortable or uneasy or sudden surge of power. It's all happening much faster and much more in a more powerful way than before, but at the same time a lot more linear as well. See, this is what I mean. Bad roads, the suspensions absolutely have no problems taking it because they are running a full stock setup, which means that you can actually use this power a lot more and a lot more places as well, because the suspension is actually going to give you a lot more support no matter what kind of roads you're on. Realistically, how many times do you actually come across that in day-to-day life? Most of the times you are basically going signal to signal from place A to B 95 to 98% of the times, and for that this setup does kind of make sense. But the other thing that I noticed is in taller gears, right? For example, right now I am in third gear and I'm doing approximately 1500 RPM, and I put my foot down and you can instantly get that surge of power where you don't have to wait for things to spool up and produce and give you that power. It's pretty much instant, and that in itself makes such a huge difference, especially when you're in the city, when you're driving from bumper to bumper between traffic, where you need that instant acceleration, where you need that instant torque so that you can perform a quick overtake or stay relevant with the rest of the traffic. That's where this tune comes in super handy. Let's do a quick short pull. I'm currently on second gear doing about 1500 RPM at a speed of 20 kilometers per hour, and I put my foot down 80. That's pretty respectable, isn't it? At the same time, I hope you're able to see me from between all of the beautiful ornamentation this car has. It's even got a spare wheel, just in case. But yeah, the best part which I liked about this tune is how the low end has improved. And the low end actually matters a lot. You see, even on 4th gear, right from 1500 RPM, I'm able to pull the car all the way up to what I am currently doing, 3-digit speeds. That's pretty impressive. For what this car is, a 1.5 liter diesel, it does not really feel like that. In fact, it kind of sits somewhere between what a 2 liter turbocharged diesel and a 1.4, 1.5 turbocharged diesel will give you as a feel in terms of its driving. Because I have owned a Optra Magnum 2 liter before, which is about 130, 135 horsepower stock. And I mean, the turbo was much bigger in that car, so it had like a massive surge when the turbo was hitting you. But in terms of its acceleration, we are pretty much at the same point. This car, by the way, puts out about 140 horsepower and slightly above 300 Newton meters of torque. And that is quite visible, especially in the way the torque takes over and the car pulls from low down. A diesel, especially a tuned diesel, makes kind of a lot of sense, no? Where you get the best of both worlds. You get performance, at the same time you get fuel economy when you especially doing long runs where 600, 700 kilometers, and a petrol car just drains you dry. It just empties your bank account like that. I hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to catch you in the next one. Till then, ciao.